Hey to the most amazing nurses. It is Dr. V here with Morning Infusion with Dr. V podcast, where we are intentional about teaching nurses how to work from anywhere around the world, making money and owning your own time, building profitable nurse coaching and consulting businesses. You will hear from amazing guests that have grown their companies and want to share insight into how you can do the same to change the face of healthcare as we know it. If you want to grow your businesses and leverage your knowledge as a nurse to grow wildly successful businesses at the top, instead of working your way to the top, head on over and join our Millionaire Nurse CEO group on Facebook, where you can ask questions and get updates on our live and virtual events to help you grow your businesses. Good morning, everyone. So we have my friend and colleague, Dr. Ebony Waugh. So Dr. Ebony, tell us a little bit. So tell us who you are. Like, give us a brief bio of you.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Ebony Parker Waugh. I have been a nurse for the last 30 years and counting, primarily in obstetrics because that was my love. And I've done a little bit of other things. So I've been a college professor. I've been a chief of reproductive health for the state of Maryland with an $11+ million budget that I was responsible for making sure that our health departments, our federally qualified health centers had the money that they needed to provide reproductive care services. And I am currently a clinical nurse consultant with a major healthcare brand. And I have my own business, Parker Waugh Enterprises, Inc., which is the parent corporation for Ebony Parker Waugh Consulting. And then I also have a mobile phlebotomy and concierge nursing services business, which is called At Your Service Labs.
I love it. So, of course, we always started out where we go back, because we want to know where you started from. So tell us what the reason why you even became a nurse. Like, did you have some rationale or you just were stuck in it like I was?
So actually, I tell people that I didn't choose nursing. It chose me. So when I was 12, my mom passed away from breast cancer. So, and this has been, I guess it'll be 40 years next year. And when she was towards the end of her life, she would ask me to stay home from school sometimes and help make her some lunch or help bring her something to drink or help her to the bathroom. Or she would get these leg cramps, so she'd have me massage her legs. And at that point in time, my mother had been in school to be a nurse, but fell ill and was unable to finish. And so for me, at that young age, I'm like, I don't know what else to do to make this better. I felt like, when you don't know, right? And all I felt like I could do was just do the little things that she asked me to do. But in my mind, that was not enough. I felt like I needed the knowledge to be there because I literally felt helpless, right? And so once she passed away, I decided I'm going to finish for you because you couldn't finish. And then I'm going to go for me so that I don't feel like I'm in that helpless place ever again in caring for someone. Because it wasn't just I wanted to make the pain go away, the discomfort go away, 12-year-old mind, right? And I didn't know how to do that. And so that is how I got into nursing. But because of that experience, I knew that I didn't want to do like ICU or, any of those long-term, kind of care nursing. I knew I didn't want to do that. So I went to what I thought was the happy place. And I became a labor and delivery nurse. And so that's what I did for the majority of my career, either labor and delivery, high risk antepartum, and then I became a perinatal clinical nurse specialist.
I love it. I love it. Let me tell you something. Us ER nurses, I say this all the time. Us ER nurses love L&D nurses. We are not trying to deliver no one's child. Okay. There's a few crazy ones out there that want to deliver, they want to do ER and they want to deliver children. But as a general rule, we don't want to deliver children. Okay. We want y'all to do that. We like it when y'all do that. So I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, you went to school, you got your degree, you became a nurse, and then you went on to become Dr. Ebony Parker Waugh. So tell me, like, why the trajectory, right?
So yes, I went to James Madison in Harrisonburg, Virginia, graduated with my BSN, and then went on, and at that time there was no shortage. So literally I'm begging for someone to let me have a job. And, ended up working med surge because everybody was like, well, you don't have any experience. I'm like, well, did you not see the resume? I graduated in May and it's now July. So after that, I knew that that wasn't what I wanted to do. And so I worked my way into agency probably a year or so out of school because I was like, if I have to do this, I'm going to get paid more for it, was the idea that I had. But then I did an agency contract on a high risk antepartum floor. And that's how I was like, yes, I can work my way in this way. So I actually got my experience being an agency nurse. And then that kind of parlayed into me moving from Chicago down to Atlanta. And I took a full-time labor and delivery position. But because I liked antepartum, I still wanted to do some of that. But then I knew I always wanted to at least have my master's degree. I thought I wanted to be a midwife, but life's and that, couldn't do that. I found myself divorced with a child as a single parent. So I was like, I can't be on call. So I can't be a midwife. I have to just work these shifts and have somebody babysit and let that be that. And so I was like, but I always wanted my master's. I knew that going in. And so I ended up getting a master's in public health nursing because I think everything's public health. And so I did that. I landed a position as a perinatal clinical nurse specialist in.
So let's tell the audience what's perinatal and antepartum.
Oh.
Like, tell them what that is, okay?
So perinatal nursing is everything that centers around a pregnancy. So the before, the during, the after, that's perinatal nursing. So antepartum is, there are some patients who have to be hospitalized during their pregnancies for problem pregnancies. So whether it's hypertension, diabetes, preterm labor, baby trying to come early, they needed to be hospitalized. And so that is antepartum. So some of them stayed there from their admission through whenever they delivered. Then their, postpartum mother baby care before they could go home. So some people have been hospitalized for, 5-6 months. So that they don't have their baby early. And so that's, the level of care that we provided. So I got my master's, started teaching as a clinical instructor, which is so funny because I had younger siblings and I never wanted to play school, never wanted to teach them how to do anything. So I don't even know how I got into that. But down there, I got a job at Grady. So anybody who knows Atlanta, Georgia, knows Grady Health System, major public health system, right? So was down there and I was in the education department. So clinical nurse specialists, educators, and they came to our department and asked if there were any clinical nurse specialists who wanted to be clinical instructors. And I'm like, hey, I can do it. I know what kind of skills I got. Let me help the future of nursing. And I got a cohort of students who literally weren't prepared for their clinical. And especially not in a place like Grady, where everyone in labor and delivery was more than just pregnant, right? There was something else going on with them. And they weren't knowledgeable of what's going on in a patient who has preeclampsia. So elevated, blood pressures. And if they continue to progress, would get into liver involvement and, those sorts of things. They weren't ready. They weren't prepared. They couldn't put the theory and the clinical together. And so I found myself making mini lectures for them so that I'd look and see what patients were there. And then I'd create like a little mini lecture for the patients and their physiologic conditions so that they could put that information together and synthesize that and be able to take care of their patients better in their clinical experience. So why did I do that? Then they were on a petition. Oh no, you need to come and teach us full time. I was like, y'all, this is the extent of my teaching. I don't want to teach anybody anything. But it's so funny that I was like, okay, peer pressure. So I did. I became a full-time nursing faculty, was a course coordinator for public health course coordinator for OB course. And I did enjoy it because I thought, okay, get them early, right? Train them up right, because you see things in the hospitals. I was like, train them up right. And, then we put them out there and you can feel better about, what's coming out, taking care of people. But that didn't last long because, that doesn't pay anything. They need to figure that out because my students were coming out making more money than I was.
Okay. Makes absolutely no sense at all to me.
No. So yes. And then after I did that, I was like, okay, well, this isn't going to work. I got a kid that I'm now paying, private tuition for, working every weekend, working Monday through Friday, then Saturday and Sunday. But I couldn't tell you how long, right? And I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to work at all. So then while you're teaching, the other thing is they don't want to pay you too much, but then they want everybody in the department to have a doctorate. I'm like, what?
Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Right? So I was like, okay, well, I had thought about it, but I didn't necessarily want another degree in nursing. I didn't think. I wanted a public health degree. But what they did was they said, well, apply to our DMP program. It's like you're the third cohort. We're going to webcast it into where I was teaching. I didn't teach on Fridays anyway. So we were just like, well, if you're going to give it to us, right, basically, then we'll show up, we'll do the work, and we'll, get this degree. And so that's how I ended up becoming Dr. Ebony Parker Waugh. I had zero plans for that degree, okay? But, they provided it, they paid for the majority of it, and here I am.
That's too funny. That's too funny. I had zero plans for my master's degree. I really didn't want to go past my BS. I was like, let me get this BS in and then I'm going to be done, right? And so then I got my master's degree. And then this one lady, she was like, well, you just need to go back and get your doctorate. And I was like, well, okay. But the reality of the matter was that what I didn't realize at the time was that when you go back and get your doctorate, you have to understand that the degree, you have to understand how to leverage the degree, right? And a lot of times you're not able to leverage that degree, especially whenever you're in corporate, right? Because people have to give you a chance in order for you to be able to leverage those degrees. Absolutely. And so leveraging the degree outside of corporate was the way in which I did it. But I think that when you went to, because, I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. And I believe that when you went to teaching those students, and it gave you the ability to be able to now coach other people where you're coaching now. I think that was the segue. Do you believe that?
And actually, it started there. It started with, because as a perinatal clinical nurse specialist, so I eventually did stop teaching full time, and I went back into the hospital because they doubled my salary. So I, went back into the hospital, but that's where the coaching actually started. A lot of the newer nurses would come to me because I was over the education of the orientation and education of new nurses who wanted to be in labor and delivery and antepartum. And they'd come and they're like, I'm thinking about going back to school. I'm not sure what I want to do. So we'd start these troubleshooting sessions, right? Well, what do you see yourself doing every day? So just really helping them to get clear about what it is that they wanted to do. And then when they decided that I think I want to be in education, because I was already using them as preceptors because they, had great clinical skills. They were great with new employees. I then allowed them the opportunity. I said, well, if you want to, we have another cohort coming through. This is the curriculum. Choose a topic, choose a day, choose a time, I said, and I'm willing to give you a chance because I know that you can do it. You're already doing it clinically. And so I had two of them who took me up on that. They both became nurse practitioners, and they both went into education. So it just kind of worked out that just starting then with the troubleshooting of what am I going to do with myself? What am I, I know this isn't the end for me. What else? And just helping people to really kind of sometimes, when you're in the frame, you just can't see the picture, right? And so you need some help from someone who can be objective, completely, and just really help you pull out your greatness. Right. And from that very first cohort of students, I now have multiple students in the public health service. I have multiple students who went back and got master's, doctorates. I have multiple students that if they didn't go public health, they went OB, which were the two courses that I taught them. And so now we all keep in touch. And these are my students from like 2005. And we keep in touch, and they are really attributing their success that they're having, because I get on there all the time and congratulate them and tell them how proud I am of them. And they're like, if you had not taught us, we probably would have never gone the direction that we did. So it makes you feel really good.
I think that there is this value is undervalued, is understanding where you're going, right? Because you get out of nursing school and you think, well, I'm going to be a bedside nurse for the rest of my life. That's what some people think, right? Mm-hmm. That's what I thought. I thought I was going to be a bedside nurse for the rest of my life. And then all of a sudden we get to the bedside and it is a little bit challenging, okay, to say the least, right?
In a number of ways.
In a number of ways, right?
Sometimes,
and so
right?
you want to move forward, right? And so you think that you got to go back to school and you got to get all these degrees. And the reason why you think that is because it's made for you to think that because of all these magnet hospitals and that whole ideology, right? Mm-hmm. And you think that you have to get all these degrees, but the reality is that in order for nurses to be effective, really, is to pivot outside of healthcare and really own their own businesses and really be economically sound in order to be able to move the needle. So we're going to go to commercial and then we're going to come right back.
All right.
Our live event is going down twice a year in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, called the Millionaire Nurse CEO Conference. We will be covering the blueprint and master plan to grow a wealthy and flourishing company. We love that you listen to the podcast, but we want you in the room. We will be sharing insights on marketing and sales strategies so that you are able to create more impact and make more money, creating more freedom so that you can do the things that you love. So join us for the nursing event of the century. Go to vpnursing.com to sign up for this life-changing event.
So we're back with Dr. Ebony Parker Waugh. So now I want you to tell us about your business. So I know that you have two, but tell us about the coaching business, because that's the one that I like to talk about, obviously.
Right. So as I was saying, with coaching nurses into their next level and into their next career, I parlayed that into 2017. I joined a host travel company, right? Because I was like, I was a legal nurse consultant for 18 years. I was sundowning that business, but I knew that I needed another business. I can't be without a business, right? Even if I have a job, couldn't be without a business.
Okay, so say the value of the business. The reason why you need a business. Go ahead, tell us, because I want
the value of the business, and depending on what business you're in. But for me, the value of the travel business was every time I stepped foot out of my door, it was business. If I go visit my parents, the miles, if I drive, write them off. I take them to dinner. They're always asking, what's going on in your life? Business expense. When I tell people that I will never be without a business, it doesn't matter if I have a job. It decreases my taxable, the taxes that I have to pay, right? Because I was paying taxes. When my husband and I got married, I'm like, wow, wait, hold up, $5,000-$6,000 a year paying taxes. This one little itty bitty business that was travel, that even if I made this much money that year, guess what? I wrote off. I had a home office, right? So I wrote off the square footage of that room that I used for my office. I wrote off whatever that percentage was of the total square footage. I wrote off that percentage of the electric bill, the gas bill, wrote off the internet, the cell phone. It didn't matter, right? So I'll never be without a business.
Game changer. I mean, the reality is that this is how the game is played. And the problem is that a lot of people are not playing the game like the game is played. Just play it, right?
Right.
Money is just a conduit, right? But play the game like the game is played, build a sustainable business in order for you to be able to move the needle, and literally life changes. You built that travel business, now you're able to travel. And like I had a meeting yesterday. I had to get my hair done because I'm speaking at the Nurse Boss Summit at the end of the week, right? I'm in getting my hair done. I have my computer and I'm able to still conduct my meeting because
Absolutely.
we're able to work from anywhere around the world, making money on our own time. So anyway, go ahead, tell us about the business.
So
I'm passionate about that, obviously.
you and me both. I tell people, I don't care if you make candles, do something, crochet some socks and sell them. It does not matter what the business is. You can turn a passion into a business. And that's what I did with travel, because I absolutely love to travel. I love seeing the world, all the beautiful things God has created, and people and cultures and food and whatever else. I enjoy it. So that was a no-brainer for me. If I didn't have one customer, it was going to be me, the best customer. Okay. But then I was going to be able to write it all off. Game changer. When I say that we stopped paying tax, we stopped having to pay, and we started getting a check back because it makes a difference. So just a little plug for entrepreneurship. I don't care what you do. Sharpen pencils. I don't care. That's a business.
Sharpen pencils.
Tell all the mamas in the neighborhood, I will sharpen your pencils for a stack of whatever, $5, $10. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, have a business. So anyway, with the travel business, I was sharing this with other people, and they were literally joining my team. I had a team of 180 some travel agents at one point in time. But what I found is, even though they were gung-ho to do it, they weren't confident that they could be successful. And so I'm thinking, this is simple. This is easy. Just the little things they wouldn't do. And then I had someone tell me, yeah, I just couldn't make that phone call. I decided to clean my closet instead. And I'm like, there's something going on there. And I'm going to figure out what that is. And as I started having just conversations with them, just the lack of confidence was huge. At all ages, young, middle, it didn't matter. The lack of confidence in themselves was major. And so we explored that. Now, mind you, I didn't get paid for any of that, but I just have this thing of wanting people to be their best selves. And so however I can be part of that, I'm going to take part, right? And so with them, we got to the bottom of why they wouldn't do kind of the simple things, why avoid it, why procrastinate, why hesitate, why do all of these things. And we literally got to the bottom of, some of it was some things in childhood, some things that people told them they could never do. I just don't know if I can. And so I was just like, oh no, we're going to conquer this, and this is without having done any training whatsoever at that point. It's just from, it's out, it's in you. Let's release it, So they got to be so good at the things that, they didn't think they could do, that they were like, oh my God, you should be getting paid for this. And I was like, You think? So I started looking for a certification course on this, right? Because nurses, we feel like we got to have all these things.
And you do not. Let's be clear. You
You
do not.
most certainly do not, clearly.
To teach somebody how to do something, okay?
Right.
Yeah. All right.
Right.
There you go.
So I did take the course because I found it very interesting. The reason I was going to go into public health was because I was going to study social behavior, why people do the things they do. But ended up getting a doctorate in nursing instead. So it still was in me. So that's why I actually looked for the course, because I wanted to know what makes people do the things they do. And so in that course, I discovered how our minds work and how we can, train them to be better, and how we can control our thoughts, because the thoughts are what control our emotions and our behaviors. And so once I did that, I became certified as a master mindset coach. I already had a business, I'm like, this is it. I already had test subjects before I even, really understood why the mind did what it did. And so I was like, all right, well, this is the next thing. I prayed about it. I wait till I get my green light, and then I go. And so I have been coaching now, paid coaching, for about 4 years now. So, and the breakthroughs that you get, I have nursing clients, I have teacher clients, because nurses aren't the only ones doing the great resignation. Teachers are as well. And they are realizing that they can leave their classroom and become tutors. They can help children get into college, right? So these are some of the things that, teachers are doing. Some of my nursing clients have started staffing businesses that started with them staffing themselves, right? And so imagine how that parlayed into, in this particular nurse, she staffed herself for years until her business started growing. But because she is from Kenya, she already, her dad had already told her, oh, nurses don't make any money. You need to go into pharmacy. Well, she wanted to go into nursing. And so she did. But that was always in the back of her mind. Nurses don't make any money. Nurses can't work for themselves. They can't call their own shots. And so she was tentative about her business, even though it was growing, but it was only growing at the rate of her belief. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I coached her. Mind you, she was not doing bad. They were bringing in about $1 million. Okay. She had zero systems, didn't know how she was really doing it. She hadn't taken a vacation in the 6 years she'd had the business. She only had 2 people in her office. And she felt like she had to be in it every day. And so I just explored that with her. I'm like, no, that's not why you get into business, to be all in it every day. If you have people that are working for you, let them do what they know how to do, or get you some other people. So we explored some things with her, limiting beliefs, and by the time we finished, we still keep in touch. The next year, she took 5 family vacations in 1 year, because the year that she worked with me, I says, no, this is the year you're going to take one. So she took a vacation. She took her phone, but the office manager never needed her, so her phone never rang. And she said, I had such a great time with my family, that the next year they took 5 vacations. She lives in Washington State. She was from the West Coast to the East Coast, North, South, everywhere. She has grown her business now to about 3 million. She's put systems in place. She's moved to a bigger office. She has more people working for her. And now she's ready to go into home care, because she's like, oh yeah, my other business doesn't need me anymore.
I love it. Listen.
Guess whose home care thing she went to? Sue Dennis. Because I had told her about her. And so she sent me a picture. She was like, guess where I am? And it was there at their conference. So I was like, oh, girl, soak it all up, take it all in. They're great people. They know what they're talking about. So the power of conquering your mind, mastering your mind.
You said so many nuggets in there, so many nuggets. Number 1 is conquering your mindset. That's number 1. Okay. You can't grow past what your belief is. You can't. Number 2, putting systems in place. And that is huge. You can't do anything without systems, and stop doing everything yourself, right? But everything, put standard operating procedures in place so that, other people can do the thing that you would normally have done.
Right.
And then the power of collaboration as well. So you're able to, instead of you teaching her how to go into a home care business, which is not your expertise, I refer people out all the time. I teach nurses how to coach when they computers anywhere around the world, making money and owning their own time. I do not do home care business. I do not do med spa. And so if somebody comes to me and they say that, somebody came to me the other day, said they want to do some house calls. I was like, that ain't what I do. I'm not charging Medicaid for anything. Okay. I do private pay only, or either we work with, business to business, right? Mm-hmm. Understanding what your lane is and sticking in that lane.
Absolutely.
That will make you an exponential amount of money. And also understanding as well that, you talked about it, and that the certification course helped you a little bit with the mindset portion of, but the reality is that most people think that certifications are going to get you where you need to be. Well, the reality is that you need to have a systematic way of getting the clients from social media onto your email list so that you can nurture them, so that you can turn them into hot leads and warm leads in order to get them to hot leads so that they can start paying you their money. That is the game. And so a lot of times people want to do all these other things thinking that they will help you, when the reality is that getting people from here to where you can coach them and where you can nurture them, that is the real deal. And when people get that and they understand that, then that's game changing.
Absolutely.
There's a whole lot of other things that we do. So I love you. So I want to tell people where to find you.
Absolutely. So you can go to ebonyparkerwaugh.com, and that's my website. You can also reach me email at ebony@ebonyparkerwaugh.com, and we can chat it up. I'm on Facebook as Ebony Parker Waugh. I'm on LinkedIn as Dr. Ebony Parker Waugh. So just hit me up. This is the thing that I enjoy the most. I tell people, I don't create your business. I create people. I don't build businesses. I build people who build amazing businesses, right? And what I mean by building people is it's already, everything you need is already inside of you. And sometimes we just need someone to help us pull it out, right? And so I always talk about releasing your greatness. So that is what I want everyone to do, is release your greatness. And sometimes it's work that you can't do by yourself. You're going to need somebody to help you do that. And so your authentic empowerment coach, that's what I call myself, right? Because I don't sugarcoat. I don't bite my tongue. Because that's not helping you. Okay. And I'm here to help you.
That's right. But now, be clear, okay? Dr. Ebony said, this is what Dr. Ebony said. Dr. Ebony said, if you want to come into her coaching program and you want to hear what you want to hear, then this is not the place for you, okay? But if you want to grow, then this is the place for you, okay?
It's done with love. It's all love. But I'm just authentic, right? And I believe everyone should be their best authentic self. So why would I show up any other way?
That's right. That's right. Well, Dr. Ebony, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You have been absolutely amazing. I love your energy. We've been, hanging out for a minute now. So I love it. We do have a master classes coming up August 15th, 2023. It is going to be amazing. So it's free. You can upgrade to the VIP if you want to ask me questions. So go over to my website, bpnursing.com. And of course, sign up for the Millionaire Nurse CEO conference. Let me tell y'all, it's going to be amazing. Like, we are going to have a good time. That's what we do. We have an amazing time. And so I look forward to seeing everyone there. You guys have a phenomenal rest of your day.